In Chapter 47 of the Yoga Vasistha, we will discuss topics such as the creation of the universe, the world being completely unreal, the parable of the seed and sprout, the coordination of truth and untruth, and the Mayuranda Nyaya. So, O Rama, my devoted student, sit with me for a moment. Together we're going to unpack some truly profound secrets about self-knowledge and cosmic illusion. Let's dive deep into the very nature of your own mind.
To guide our discourse, we'll navigate through 6 key pathways: consciousness and creation, the seed and sprout, truth and untruth, the peacock-egg analogy, principles for daily life, and finally, a brief summary of Canto 47.
Let's start with Section 1, Consciousness and Creation. Here, we need to address the very fabric of existence and understand how the universe around you is absolutely not what it appears to be.
On page 203, Verse 2 reveals a rather profound simplicity. Just listen to the Sanskrit for a second. Sargaha samvidabhinnaha. It literally means creation is not different from consciousness. You know, Rama, just as modern science is starting to suspect that the observer actually affects reality at a quantum level, this ancient verse is telling us that everything you perceive is merely a projection of the infinite mind. The physical universe, it possesses absolutely no independent reality of its own. It's woven entirely from pure awareness.
Now, building right upon this in verse 3, also found on page 203, we run into a bit of a paradox. The absolute truth states that the world is completely unreal. Yet our relative experience dictates otherwise, right? I mean, if you touch fire, it definitely burns. Therefore, while the universe is ultimately just a grand illusion, we have to maintain a balance. We must acknowledge that this illusion feels incredibly real to the unawakened mind. Moving along to Section 2, the seed and sprout. To really grasp how this immense illusion manages to manifest, we can turn to a brilliant parable found in verses 4 and 5. Looking at page 204, we first need to define 2 core concepts. The first is bija, the seed. This represents the unmanifest, pure potential of supreme consciousness. The second is ankara, the sprout, which is the physical manifestation of the universe. It tells us that the vast, overwhelming complexity of the world actually begins from a singular, invisible source. Think about this cosmic life cycle. From the invisible essence resting quietly within the seed of consciousness, the universe sprouts outward into physical manifestation, only to ultimately dissolve right back into the source. Just as a massive, towering tree is entirely contained within a tiny little seed, so too is this vast universe contained entirely within your mind. All right, Section 3, Truth and Untruth. Moving forward to verse 32, we have to examine the treacherous, often confusing terrain of human perception. Turning to page 205, verse 32, explores this exact terrain, the coordination of true and false. In Sanskrit, it's satyan rite mytho yukte. The absolute truth of formless consciousness becomes entangled with the untruth of the changing material world. It's kind of like seeing a rope in the dark and mistakenly thinking it's a snake. The rope is the truth, the snake is the untruth, yet they coordinate in your mind to create very real terror. You see, the untutored mind blends the infinite truth with these finite illusions, and that creates the bound, limited experience of our daily lives. Spiritually speaking, Rama, you must realize that this coordination is the absolute root of all worldly suffering. True salvation requires you to use your intellect to untangle the eternal truth from the fleeting untruth. Which brings us to Section 4, the peacock-egg analogy. This is honestly the climax of our discourse. In verses 33 through 35, we resolve the paradox of diversity through what is known as the Mayuranda Nyaya. Spanning pages 205 and 206, we arrive at this Mayuranda Nyaya, the peacock and egg justice. Verses 33 through 35 declare, Yasa Mayurandarese nana varnahastitaha. Just as the diverse colors of a peacock reside unmanifested in the clear fluid of its egg, so does the diverse universe reside in supreme consciousness. Think of the clear egg fluid as supreme consciousness, completely uniform and formless. The multicolored peacock is the universe, manifested and incredibly complex. Philosophically, just as you can't see the vibrant greens and blues floating around in the clear fluid of a peacock egg, you can't physically see the world in pure consciousness. Yet, that unity holds the exact blueprint for all the diversity. Now for Section 5, Principles for Daily Life. Because, my dear disciple, supreme philosophy is pretty much useless if it can't be applied. Let's look at how to actually utilize these profound teachings in your daily actions. By practicing these 3 principles, you bring this ancient philosophy right down to earth. First, see unity and diversity by actively recognizing the single consciousness in all beings. Second, recognize truth by looking beyond physical illusions. And third, recognize possibilities by understanding your own boundless potential. You have to navigate your worldly duties as a prince, Rama, while maintaining the unshakable inner peace of a sage. And this leads us to Vairagya, or detachment. This is the practical application of today's lesson. It doesn't mean running away. It means engaging with the world fully, while internally knowing it is merely an illusion, just a sprout from a seed. Act righteously in the world. Fight for what is good, but do not be bound by its outcomes, because they are ultimately unreal. True detachment is being in the world, but not of it.
Finally, Section 6, Summary of Canto 47. Let's distill all this wisdom into its purest essence before we conclude.
Hold these key truths tightly in your heart. Creation is literally identical to consciousness. The world is a relative illusion. The universe grows just like a sprout from a spiritual seed. Truth coordinates with untruth in our ignorance, and that causes suffering. And finally, remember the peacock egg. All cosmic diversity exists unmanifested within uniform consciousness.
I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought. Knowing the world is but a sprout from the seed of your own mind, what illusions will you choose to detach from today? Ponder this deeply, my dear Rama, because it is in piercing the illusions of your own mind that the path to true self-knowledge and salvation actually begins.